Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. I'm Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
Dave, we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Yes, please.
Basically, at the EA conference today, you were at the hotel. Me and Holly were there.
I know.
They showed a very, very nicely put together. This is everything that we're working on with Star Wars video.
Yeah.
Dave was he was on WhatsApp telling us he was crying
It was beautiful.
as the video, but the end of the video was very nice.
Yeah.
So we've basically watched that about 20 times.
Yeah.
We pulled together all the information we can find, and we kind of lay out to you what's coming to PlayStation 4 for Star Wars. Not the Lego stuff, which is happening separately, but the EA stuff. And we kind of picked out some details, and we're going to tell you about them right now.
Let's do it.
So what's out right now, everyone knows Star Wars Battlefront is currently on PlayStation 4.
Yes.
And one of the things that we can expect before the end of this year, there's DLC coming, Bespin, which is Cloud City, that's happening imminently.
Yeah.
So that means Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
That means those kind of ships with two kind of little cockpits.
Always remind me of lifeboats for some reason, like inflatable. Yeah, they're there.
Or little, the sweets you get in France that look a bit like that. I wonder if anyone knows what the hell I'm talking about. The next, I think, also confirmed there's Death Star DLC coming later on in the year, and that's interesting because we did see in this video.
Yeah.
Me and Dave were excited about someone put, like, again, I'm sure they only showed us what they wanted to see. Someone working on like.
It was the trench, wasn't
the
it?
Trench.
You saw some X-wings flying down the trench from the Death Star.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool. Not necessarily,
You worry about those fighters, Dave. I worry about the towers.
I worry about both.
Yeah, Dave just worries a lot about everything. And kind of along with that, so and I think there's one other kind of DLC that's coming, which we don't know about yet, and that's going to round off this first Battlefront. Except for one thing, which basically when me and Dave started thinking about it, we don't want to kind of extrapolate too much.
No.
Or we don't talk about stuff we're not sure about. But confirmed today, Criterion is working with DICE on current Battlefront, and they are making a PlayStation VR mission, which will be out this year.
It's about a 2-second part of the whole video, which I probably just went back and watched again and again. It's just a man wearing PlayStation VR looking around, and he's inside the cockpit of an X-Wing. I honestly cannot wait for that.
So we've done some VR. There's some PlayStation VR on the channel. Dave, you did the heist, and like we talked about then, like when you're in the heist and you're in this van that's traveling along like a ring road, and when you realise you can look behind you, that's what I was thinking of when I was thinking, hang on, even if I've got the DualShock in my hands and I'm like dogfighting, if I'm in an X-Wing, just doing all my X-Wing stuff, if I can then look around.
Yeah.
Checking behind me to see
if who's behind you. R2-D2's behind you, mate.
That's right, of course he is.
Oh my God.
So like if that's coming, and it looks,
I can't see him. I will just be quoting endlessly.
Man, stay on target, Dave.
I'm all right.
So that looks like that's going to be a thing. And that's going to be that's going to be this year. That is confirmed as being this year.
That's incredible.
Man alive. Let's wait and see what happens. And then in other Battlefront news, they've also confirmed that Battlefront 2 is, it might not be called that, but Star Wars Battlefront, the next one, the sequel is coming in 2017. And it had the senior producer who we met last year, Dave, Sigurlina Ingvarsdottir. Yeah, a lovely Icelandic lady with a difficult name to pronounce. And that's kind of... They're kind of teasing what's going to be in that. Nothing confirmed, but she said in her little cutaway of this video, more eras. That's what she was saying. We're building on what we did before, and we're going to give you what people have asked for, more eras. And then separately, there was a press release which talks about new films, including perhaps like the anthology movies.
Yeah.
So more eras could mean anything. I mean, that could mean prequel stuff, which they've shied away from so far. It seems much more likely that it's going to mean that we're going to get more of the current trilogy, which is being released. That we are one movie into.
Yeah.
So
they've
far,
definitely
J.J.
confirmed
Abrams.
that, haven't they? That it will be from the new. There'll be stuff from the new movies for sure.
Yeah.
Including like as you say, the anthology movies like Rogue One.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting.
Dead exciting.
Yeah.
And moving ahead,
let's go into the future.
Dude, this is. The next two. As soon as Amy Hennig and Visceral games, 2018. They are making a new narrative with new characters. That's all confirmed. And just to kind of talk a little bit about this, so what we already know about this is that Amy Hennig was a creative director over at Naughty Dog for a long time. She created the Uncharted series and was the game director on the first 3 games. That's exciting already. And when you kind of put together that the references to Spielberg in the first Uncharted game, like this kind of, the era of Star Wars, that kind of school of filmmaking, the George Lucas, Steven Spielberg school of filmmaking, is something that, like the way that they tell stories and the way that they pay off and that they're fun, like adventures, that's very much her thing.
Yeah.
And now that we get like a new, and Visceral, by the way, and again, there's like a little cutaway, someone's workstation. They make Dead Space, and they put in this video a reminder that they made Dead Space.
Yeah.
And Dead Space is one of my favorite kind of original games on PlayStation when it came out on PlayStation 3. Man, I mean,
you take Amy Hennig and you add Visceral and you times it all by Star Wars.
I know, right?
And you just
have us not really being able to communicate how excited we are.
A very exciting situation.
Tiny little things. We should talk about some of the little bits and pieces that we kind of picked out and stared at for a while in the video. It looks like it's probably on Tatooine. Yes. Or at least part of it.
The concept art definitely wasn't it? We saw two suns.
We saw binary suns.
We saw
There's a speeder.
We saw like Luke's speeder hidden in the background.
Yeah, all the same kind of model.
The same kind of probably not Luke's.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone maybe from a car boot. And we saw it's a sandy planet.
Yep.
It's Tatooine.
And we saw also, and it looks like that era, we saw Amy Hennig, and again, I'm sure it was kind of staged, looking over with the guy from Lucas, because they were talking up the collaboration with Lucasfilm itself, looking over like the brand guru guy, and they're looking at Rebel and Imperial insignias.
Yeah.
And that kind of positions it in that classic trilogy era, probably because obviously the Empire is defeated at the end of that trilogy. Spoilers. And it looks like, some of them look like kind of street graffiti kind of style.
Yeah.
Like the game is maybe about that kind of uprising. And then the one bit of game footage, which I'm going to be, living off until they show how many months. I'm just going to be watching that thing over and over again. Again, it looks like Tatooine. It looks like that kind of, it's like a sandy kind of, like this with kind of sandstone structures and stuff. And that does have Imperial insignias. And then there is like, you can see it spray painted,
sort of graffitied on, isn't it? Yeah, it's almost like an Imperial palace in the background. The big sort of flags or drapes with the Imperial insignia.
Yeah, it's like
and
Rome
then
or something.
On that kind of bridge in the foreground, you can see a little yellow rebel insignia that's kind of, as you say, been graffitied on.
Exciting times. And then getting to the end of the timeline, the next thing, and it's undated so far, but they're currently in pre-production. That's the Respawn game. Respawn, obviously, again, we talk about, we don't know loads about these games, but we talk about the kind of the pedigree that's going on here. Respawn is the creative kind of core team that put together Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Then they made Respawn, they made the first Titanfall. Obviously now, we've got a video up on the channel. I played Titanfall 2 today on a PlayStation 4. It's pretty good. So these guys know what they're talking about when they're kind of, this is third person, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But obviously their first person games and the kind of the combat and fluidity of those games are extraordinary. And I didn't know this before. I'm not sure if it was public before, but the game director there looks like it's Stig Asmussen, who I met because he was the director of God of War 3.
Right.
So again, a guy who's someone who's been involved in like an absolutely core PlayStation series, and God of War 3 was a fine game.
As I remember, it was a quite good third-person action adventure game.
Yeah, right.
As well.
So that again and again. If you want to play anything by Star Wars, then I'm quite excited about it. And so the official line is that they're in pre-production, so we could probably, I would expect that to happen after the Visceral game. It's set in a different Star Wars era.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Don't know what that means.
Again, we don't want to kind of guess too much, but it means an era that they haven't explored so far. But it does look like he's got lightsaber battles because he was, maybe it was like pre-prod like research, but there's that footage of Stig looking at two guys mocapping. Like a Star Wars lightsaber fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
we're going to have to assume lightsabers, I think,
are happening. Yeah,
it would
be weird if they
weren't. Give me a lightsaber, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess one thing that we didn't mention, just to kind of, because like I said, we're digging out. So that's the timeline kind of established. And also we should mention Motive. That's the kind of the new Montreal-based studio which they've set up, and they're just basically kind of working on all things Star Wars, I think, because I think they already announced that they were supporting Visceral, and now they've said that they're working on Battlefield 2. Battlefront 2. And just some of the bits and pieces that we saw. that for the Star Wars Battlefront sequel, working on the screens, a little like a pilot getting into an X-wing.
Yeah.
As you were saying, Dave, not like in the current Battlefront, you just grab the symbol,
grab a token, don't
and
you?
then it kind of
are in.
There's the dissolve.
Yeah.
So whether that's like a cutscene from a beginning of like a Death Star mission, which you'd expect from the kind of the Death Star DLC, or whether that is like an entirely new way that they're going to go about doing the vehicular combat, we don't know. And then we saw on another person's workstation what looks very much like a Star Destroyer bridge.
Yeah.
And again, could be just a cutscene, could be just some art, or it could mean, maybe, because one of the things that definitely everyone was talking about after Star Wars Battlefront was like, man, wouldn't it be amazing if you could control capital ships?
Yes.
And yes, it would, and I hope that's what's happening.
Or perhaps it's just a map, just having a fight.
Inside.
In a Star Destroyer.
Hey, that would be cool.
Also possible, they've got hangars, and we've seen loads of corridors in Star Destroyers in the film, so that could also happen. But who knows? It's just it's another exciting thing. Like, it's just another for a Star Wars fan. It's just another really recognisable part of Star Wars that we haven't really had a chance to experience yet, and everything being made in EA's incredible Frostbite engine.
Yeah.
It's just like, I go and play Battlefront still now, and just
it looks
absolutely
like
amazed.
they got so much right. I mean, I think that's what's exciting is, like this Star Wars has been kind of reinvigorated both in the movies and in the games that are being created. And so far, there were some detractors, but The Force Awakens was basically everything I wanted. It was amazing. Star Wars Battlefront just got so much right in its presentation, and the feel of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the idea that we've got like just years of this stuff lined up, and it's got off to such a good start. It's like properly exciting.
Really exciting.
As Star Wars men and ladies out there, this is a good time.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make a video explaining that we were really excited.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. If you watched to the end, let us know if you spotted stuff that we missed. Do put it down in the comments. And you are fine to speculate. So if you guys want to go nuts, just kind of thinking about, what you think might be in the Visceral game or in the Respawn game, or what you think we might see in the sequel to Star Wars Battlefront, let us know in the comments.
We want to read all your theories.
We basically are like just down to geek out about this with you guys. So do that. Also stay tuned all this week and for the coming weeks. We've got tons of stuff coming up from E3, so make sure you subscribe to the channel.